So the last video I released about a day ago was about how Gen Z was America's final hope, final shot at life. And on that thumbnail, I put a few Gen Z conservatives, some of the guys that are in this speaking space, some of the guys that are trying to change the culture. And right in the middle of that thumbnail, I had Nick Fuentes himself on there. Why? Because Nick Fuentes is doing everything in his power to change the culture in order to point our country in a direction to make it a more Christian conservative country. Nick Fuentes is unafraid to say what nobody else is willing to say. He has put himself in a place where his life has been destroyed outside of conservative media. He would never be able to get a job. He was on a no-fly list for a while. He is blacklisted from every single social media company, but he did it for us because he's willing to take action. And because I put him on that thumbnail, I had people calling me out and saying, "Hey, why'd you put a Fed on there?" Nick Fuentes is a Fed. He's antithetical to the movement. He's only harming us. What he's doing is not a beneficiary. It's only hurting us. And I have to say to that, why, as conservatives, every single time we have somebody that is somewhat extreme, somewhat radical, and is willing to take action, we point at them, call them feds, and tell them to leave our movement? You ever think maybe that's part of the reason why conservatism always loses? Why every single movement we've ever had has eventually failed? Why liberals have beaten us all throughout history? Maybe, just maybe, it's because we're reactionaries and never go on the offensive. We never take action. We let the liberals take action against us, and then we slowly give up ground every decade or so, and then eventually we become more liberal than the former liberals ever were, right? Because, I mean, a liberal 50 years ago would be disgusted with how liberal the conservatives of today are. And I mean, that's just the way it is. And that's why conservatives always lose, because we are reactionary. So every time we see a group that's willing to take action, we need to stop pointing at them and calling them feds. You see a group that is well organized, that is marching around the streets, that is protesting, that is raising a voice. Stop pointing at them, stop calling them feds, because honestly, more than likely, if they're not harming anybody, they're not. They're not feds. The majority of groups aren't feds. I know, shocking. Conservatives refuse to accept that because most conservatives are too weak. They are too weak to go out and do anything. They don't have the balls to do it. So they sit online and just type whatever they want to say on a computer behind closed doors so nobody can see who they are and what their values are. They're afraid of what the world would think of them. So when they see people that are willing to go out there, they think there's no way anybody has the confidence to do that. There's no way anybody would put their life on the line, risk that much to just go out and protest their values and make their voices heard. So they shut down and say, "Hey, I wouldn't do this, so you can't either. You must be a Fed because no conservative has the guts to do what you're doing right now." So they just point to every single person that goes out and takes a real action. They point at them and call them a Fed and try to get their movement shut down because it makes them feel bad about themselves. And I see this constantly. Literally every single major group that goes out and protests, goes out and makes a noise, goes out and gets into the media, gets the eyes of the public on themselves, they get called a Fed. Every single one. The only time that you should be looking at a group and immediately thinking, "Oh, Fed," is one, do they have swastikas? If they're flying swastikas, okay, fair enough. There's a decent chance it could be Feds. Or it's just legitimate Nazis. That's possible too, right? I mean, maybe not Feds, probably just Nazis. There's plenty of conservatives that do fly swastikas. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. So, yeah, there are some people that would just do that. So I'm not saying like support them, but probably not feds, maybe are. That's whatever. You can call them feds. I don't really care. And then the other group that are probably feds, are they violent? Are they going out? Or did they, try to kidnap the governor of Michigan? Remember when that happened? That was wild. Yeah, feds. Feds all over that. If they're violent, If they're trying to commit crimes, feds. If they are threatening people, possibly feds. But if they're doing none of those things and they're just well organized, marching the streets, making their voices heard, letting people know that they're unhappy with the way things are run, they're probably just conservatives with bigger balls than you. So you need to stop being a little bitch and go out and join them. Or if you are going to keep being a bitch, at the very least, don't take out your self pity on them and try to get them shut down, calling them feds. Just leave them alone, let them do their thing, and go off to the side and go watch from a corner because you don't have the balls to be part of this movement. So, yeah, there you go. Stop labeling everybody that's more extreme than you a Fed. Stop labeling everyone that's willing to take action a Fed. Because most of these people are trying to make legitimate culture changes. They're trying to do more than any other conservative has ever done. They're seeing, hey, conservatives always lose every single time, undoubtedly. This happens literally 100% of the time we lose. So we need to change things up, and they're doing it. They're fighting like liberals. You know who you see protesting out in the streets every time they're unhappy, even if it's just like a minor inconvenience? Liberals. They're always out there. They're always trying to make their voices heard. And sure, it's annoying. Like, who wants these climate activists gluing their hands to the streets? It sucks. It's super inconvenient for all of society. But guess what? It is to some extent a winning strategy. Because over enough time, people will start to buy into your movement if they're showed it enough. And that's just the way it works. So we as conservatives need to start recognizing that and stop shutting down every single person with big enough balls to take action. Stop being a pussy, stop being a little bitch, and go out and be part of that. That's what you need to do. If you want to take your country back, you have to start actually taking it back. I'm sorry. We call for this all the time. A lot of us were like, we want change. Some of us are going far enough where we're like, we want secession. And then you still get mad when people go out there and say it publicly. You're like, oh, that's a Fed. Shut the frick up, brother. That sounded. Okay. I'm being a little over the top, I guess you could say. But seriously, though, like, if they're out there and they're calling for action while you're only willing to do it behind closed doors, they're not the problem, you are. You need to make a change, not them, and that's how we're going to save this country. I'm going to wrap up the video on that note, though, so if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, share the video, greatly appreciate it. We are a super small channel, and we're conservative, so it's tough to grow. So that's the only way we can grow, push this message out there. So if you think it's important or interesting at all, help me out, share it, like it, get us into the algorithm. If you find, again, anything I say interesting, join my Twitter, join the Discord, all different ways you can connect with me, contact me, network, all kinds of good things. So do that, and then also, yeah, I'm heading out. So again, like, subscribe, share the video, but I am, for the last time, heading out, so long. Peace out, and God bless y'all.